I want to recognize the presence of the JLP candidate for East Kingston and Port Royal.
Hello, JPU family. Welcome to another episode of Jamaica Politics Uncovered. Guys, I promised you this upload today. Very happy to bring you this new project that the government just completed in Port Royal. A whopping $530 million project delivered to the citizens of Port Royal. I want you to look at the body language of the members of parliament, including the prime minister, how they're interacting with each other and how they have delivered for the Jamaican people together. Guys, this shows that, we are not a people who are so different. We all want our country and our people and our constituents to do well, and I think this moment right here really shows the maturity of our politics and the people that are involved. Here you're looking at the Prime Minister, Minister of Water, Matthew Samuda, the Member of Parliament, Philip Palwell of East Kingston and Port Royal. I want you to listen to what he also has to say at this ceremony and presentation. Big up the people of Port Royal, a peaceful community and set of people, well deserved. Guys, have a listen.
Just to remain standing, we go right to the playing of the national anthem. Thank you. You may be seated. Honorable Andrew Holness, Honorable Matthew Samuda, Member of Parliament and also Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Mr. Philip Palwell, CD, Member of Parliament for East Kingston and Port Royal, Ms. Lorraine Dobson, Councillor for Springfield and Port Royal. Also,
Mr. Chairman, I greet you. I greet Most Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness, my friend Matthew Samuda, Senator Abka, Councillor Lorraine Dobson. There are so many persons here from the NWC. I greet the Chairman and other members. I greet the Permanent Secretary who is here. And of course, I greet the citizens and residents of Port Royal. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yes, we are a friendly city. In fact, Prime Minister, you know that Port Royal is the city in the Caribbean which is the most peaceful, no crime, and we want to keep it that way. And as I say that, I want to commend Superintendent Tommy Lee Chambers, who has been with us for a number of years. Before she moved up to superintendent, and now having been assigned to East Kingston just prior to this, to commend her, to congratulate her on her appointment. She's going to be the lady in charge. Is it Area 4? Area 5. So can we commend Tommy Lee? And Prime Minister, I hope you'll forgive me but I want to recognize the presence of the JLP candidate for East Kingston and Port Royal, Bishop Burnett, who is here with me. Yesterday was his birthday, so we want to wish him all the best. That's how we live in these places, isn't it? And I tell you, Bishop Burnett will tell you that probably I'm the only MP that shared my Christmas program with the JLP candidate. And we work very well together. He prays for me all the time. I am delighted to be here today. The Prime Minister will recall some years ago when in his closing budget debate, he mentioned about the cruise shipping pier for Port Royal. And apart from getting my attention and support for the pier, he knows I was very concerned. And I expressed my concern about the level of consultation. And he promised me that I'll be in touch with the chairman, the president of the Port Authority. And the very next day, Professor Gordon Shirley called me and Councillor Lorraine to a meeting at the Port Authority. And we expressed what our concerns were. We felt that as good as it is now, there are certain prerequisites to the unfolding of a cruise shipping pier, and that we were adamant that certain things needed to be put in place. And I really want to commend Professor Shirley, because he was able to summon the entire team, not only of the Port Authority, NWC, the TPDCO, you name it. We went into a meeting and they were all present. And we expressed the concerns and we got certain commitments. And I want to say that in relation to the commitment to ensure that there's adequate water supply in Port Royal, the Port Authority has delivered. And I want to commend them for that and to commend the other things that are emerging. I know that we have not yet solved the sewage problem, but the chairman of the Water Commission has just mentioned that this will be a necessary extension to this project. And I'm also aware that some of the other issues that we face, the JPSCO, that has been by and large resolved. So we are grateful. We are thankful. And
So if you look on your program, you recognize
new water, which is constituency. Why couldn't it be one of the other, 48 or 49 constituencies? And I reflected upon that. And especially since I'm here today now doing another project, there might be a feeling that there is some special provisions for MP Paul. But far from it. It is all coincidental. But I will use this opportunity to make another point. That when it comes to the expenditure of public resources, we try desperately not to look at the politics of the expenditure, but rather to look at the benefit of the people. And right across Jamaica, you could close your eyes and just randomly pick an area, and that area would genuinely be in need. Whether it is for water, or road, or housing, or sewage, or something. Wherever you go in Jamaica, there is the need. So the selection of this constituency, it's purely based upon the technical advice, the professional advice, and where the project has actually reached the level of completion. So on the Spark program, it was purely technical. It was the road that was available, didn't require the laying of pipes, easy surface to be dealt with, close to where the contractor is already mobilized, purely technical. And for this project, the project is completed. So we are here to launch the completion ceremony of the project to acknowledge that the government has made a significant investment, over 530 million Jamaican dollars, in putting in new water mains into the town of Port Royal, and I want to just specifically explain what we have done here. We have laid approximately 8.6 kilometers of modern, high-density polyethylene pipes. Now, it's very important that we have an appreciation for what this is. It is not that there were pipes in Port Royal, but those pipes were laid very close to the time of the major earthquake. I meant that as a joke. No, the point to be made is that these pipes were laid maybe 60 to 70 years ago. And so they are old. But not just that, the diameter of the pipes that were laid, they were very small diameter pipes, so they couldn't carry the volume of water that is necessary. And having been laid for so long, the internal carriage area of the pipes would have become encrusted. And so the pipes themselves would have gotten smaller. So the people of Port Royal were literally suffering from aged infrastructure. And this aged infrastructure simply could not carry the volume of water. It couldn't take the pressure of the water, and they would break frequently. What we have done is to change the kind of pipe that we have put in place. So it's no longer the old metal pipes that could become rusted and encrusted. No. What we have laid now are high-density polyethylene pipes, which are very robust, a little bit more flexible, and they are designed to last much longer than the old metal pipes. And these pipes can take the pressure of the pumped water supply to the area. And they are of a larger capacity as well. So there will be more water for Port Royal. This was done at a cost of approximately 533 million Jamaican dollars, and over 2,000 residents of this area, not to mention the persons who visit here on a weekend and the possible cruise ship visitors. They will all have the convenience of potable water. So this is a major achievement that the government is marking by this ceremony. And I'm certain that the people of Port Royal are very happy, very, very happy to have this improved facility. Indeed, they mark it as an improvement in the quality of life that they experience. But let me quickly go to the end of my presentation, where I have a list of projects that Minister Samuda said he would spare you. He would spare you the reading into the record of them. But I believe it is important for us to note these projects because, you know, there is a sense sometimes that when I go around the country and I do these ceremonies, whether it is handing over houses or breaking ground or marking the completion, there are persons who are watching on the television and on social media, and they're saying to themselves, when will it be my turn? You know, they say, Prime Minister, I see you in Port Royal, I see you over in Harbour Heights, and I see you all over, but when is it my time, my turn in my community? Ultimately, you know, our politics comes down to what have you done for me in my community lately? And especially in this time, and you know what time I'm talking about. Everyone wants to be able to identify what has been done for me. Now, there are those who would look at this and say, you know, this is incredibly selfish and a threat to our democracy. if politics is only going to be decided on the basis of what is done for me, then what happens to the national good? But you know what? It is the nature of democracy. And it is not just Jamaican democracy, it is the nature of the electorate. And because at the end of the day, you feel the pain, and this issue of the national good, sometimes it's very difficult to identify the national good with your own personal struggles and suffering. And so governments have to be very sensitive in balancing as we pursue what is in the national interest and what is in the national good. We also have to acknowledge that people have to live now. And as we have been very good as a government in pursuing the national good, we have also been very good as a government in just trying to balance the daily lives of citizens. Please feel free. It is the reality of government. It is, and I acknowledge that. But governments have to do it very carefully. Because, and if I were to use this community as an example, I used to come here quite regularly when I had fishing as a hobby. And, I would stop and I would have fish, and some of the fish that I caught, they would be prepared here. And some of the conversations were very interesting because, it's not just water that was a challenge. Housing is a big challenge here. Major, major challenge. And I could go on and on. I know the area very well. I know what the challenges are here. But that we have spent $533 million here. The residents who are the beneficiary of that, they are not going to contemplate where else we didn't spend the $533 million. In other words, the residents who benefit from the opportunity are not going to consider the cost to others of the opportunity to spend the money here. That's just the nature of the politics, right? So the job of the government is, when we are spending the resources to meet your individual and personal need, we also have to balance what does it cost for others whose needs are not met. Because that $533 million could have been spent in a community in Northeast Manchester. It could have been spent in my constituency, all over Jamaica. So the role of the government, my friends, is to try as best as possible to meet the needs of the people, their individual needs, what they see in front of them, but also to spend in such a way that in the expenditure, we increase the capacity and capability of the government to gain even further revenue to meet the needs of those persons who did not benefit from the expenditure that we made here. So we have to be very strategic. So you might be asking the question then, why Port Royal? Why did we spend it here? Clearly there is a need. But Port Royal is also very strategic. Very strategic. Very special, I agree. Very special. But Port Royal is also very strategic. So a few years ago, when we were looking at how do we increase the productivity of the country, or put it another way, how do we create new industries for growth, Port Royal was high on the agenda because you have certain heritage assets here that have been for decades, maybe centuries, underutilized, but if properly developed, could provide the revenues that would not only develop Port Royal, but develop the wider Jamaica. But to get to that point, we have to make certain investments in Port Royal. And one of the critical investments to be made was to put in place the facility for docking cruise ships. We have made that investment.
Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. If you're new to this channel and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We deliver good content over here and you have fun over here, guys. Please share our content with your friends, your family. Make sure that you hit the like button. Thank you for watching and I'll catch you in the next video.
That has always been the mission of our party.